Sir, we have found a planet so toxic and inhospitable I could not even imagine a place so hostile. However, it even has sentient life, calling themselves humans, who seem entirely unaffected. This is the Void's domain. I mean, sir, I wouldn't go quite that far, the ensign said hesitantly. I mean, it is clearly disturbing. An atmosphere composed of majorly oxygen and nitrogen, a surface temperature of around 79% the boiling point of water, oceans made of this water of all things. You're just proving my point, I pointed. Just getting to the point, sir, but there exists life there. What? I gaped at him. Life? In this hole? They must be agents of the Void Caller himself. I made a sign with my two hands to ward off evil. Creation guard us from the Void's foul influence. The ensign looked at me with clear distaste. The bloody new generation. Thinking with their new advances in technology they had blazed past the need for creation's guiding light. Now of all times we needed his guidance the most. No, sir, these are not demons. In fact, the dominant species calls itself human. They are self-aware? I asked, incredulous. I had expected microorganisms or lower-order beings, but a species with intelligence in conditions like this. My mind swam with the possibilities. They could not be fluorine-based life forms. I looked at the atmospheric and ground samples. Carbon-based life, I whispered. Quite correct, sir, the ensign said, clearly impressed. Bah! The arrogant idiots thought that just because we followed the righteous path we were ignorant fools. There is a reason why he is ensign, and I am captain of this expedition. Most of the life is carbon-based, with only a few microorganisms not so. Despite my hesitance, I was intrigued. Not only had we found life outside our solar system, but life so fundamentally different, even if it were most likely influenced by the Void itself. I looked through the glass window from our scout ship on their moon. The planet looked not beautiful, no, the colors were too bright, too alien, but it was certainly stunning. To not admit would be an injustice to the world. So these humans, I asked, testing the unfamiliar word on my tongue, how advanced are they? At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they were a Class 2 civilization. Barely Class 1, sir. They have yet to master even nuclear fusion. But they are spaceworthy? To some degree, sir, the ensign said hesitantly. They do not care much for space anymore, sir. In fact, their furthest-reaching probes are just beyond their solar system, but not outside their star's local influence even. But from these reports, I motioned towards the data pad the ensign had given me, they have the capability to establish colonies and can manufacture a very basic generation ship. My eyes scanned the flowing data, and I continued. Their physics are advanced enough that they can find even the light-speed loophole. Yes, sir, but they are too focused on each other. I frowned. Elaborate, ensign. Yes, sir. All disrespect was gone from his tone and face. We were now in business. There was hope yet for him. The last century especially, they have fought each other with increasing ferocity. They turned their technology against each other, fighting one another almost constantly. There were 2 instances of them dropping nuclear weapons on their own species. What? I exclaimed. Are they suicidal? Wars I could understand. Our species in its very infancy waged some wars. But to drop nuclear weapons on one's own species, how many died? Thousands, sir, thousands. That's insane, I whispered. Once more I sent a silent prayer to creation. How are they thriving? That must be half their species? No, sir, it is not even 1,000th, far from it. These humans, they have a population of approximately 7 billion. I gulped in the sterile air. 7 billion. My mind couldn't quite wrap its head around that number. Our species had a population of roughly 100,000. 7 billion hopes, dreams, ambitions, all bound to one little globe. That's why they fight, I breathed. They actually experience scarcity and can actually afford to kill one another. My species had never experienced this scarcity. It was a purely theoretical term up until now. Sir, our species never experienced this phenomenon, no, because our technological advances kept in pace with our relatively slow population growth. But these animals... Yes, sir, they fight each other for sustenance. They trade things for paper. Some starve while others live in mansions. My face grew grim. You will suggest annihilation, won't you, Captain? The ensign asked, in a low voice. I nodded. Even if you don't accept these as the heralds of the voids, as the creation scriptures say, you have to see their destructive potential. They cannot be allowed to grow more advanced with that competitive attitude. The ensign mulled it over, biting his lip, then nodded. I suppose so, sir. I don't think they are some supernatural demons, but this is the closest we can get. I think you will have the Council's support. You certainly have mine. I appreciate it, and I found, surprisingly, that I meant it. To have the support of their generation was testament to the severity of this danger. Creation's forces must persevere, even if it sometimes meant doing the opposite.